On the first one, I don't believe in codes of conduct at all. They are, forgive me, BS applications. If stuff is voluntary, it never gets implemented. You know, we've got a code of conduct for the behavior of multinational corporations at the United Nations, and you just take a look at some of those corporations and the way they behave towards their workers, towards the environment, towards social issues, towards basic labor rights, and it is a scandal. If you don't have something that can be enforced, there's very little legitimacy in this day and age in taking the trouble to go through it. So it would be much better to have, I mean, I have skepticism about conventions and covenants too, but you know, when you look back at it, some of these conventions, I think the Convention on the Rights of the Child, and even CEDAW, and certainly even the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which is now incorporated in common law in so many places, it can make a significant difference. There are declarations and political commitments. We've seen that around HIV and AIDS. There's the Millennium Development Goals. They're not mandatory. You can certainly move populations and governments in the direction you want, but when you're dealing with sexual violence, code of conduct, spare me. I mean, this is an international contagion. It is a huge crisis. What happened in India, everyone's aware of. What happened in South Africa a few days ago has turned that country upside down. What is happening tomorrow with 1 billion rising, you've got 70 sites in the United Kingdom where primarily women, but others will be gathering. The fact that they have 200 countries involved in 1 billion rising, and even the UN is involved in 1 billion rising. They're actually stopping things tomorrow to do something on it. It says to you that the question of sexual violence and rape has come of age, thank God, finally, because the atrocities have outrun patience. And therefore, if we're going to do something, you don't do a code of conduct. That's like taking it back 10 years or 20 years. Whatever you do is tough. And I hope that when the UK chairs the G8, that will be their inclination.
Can I just add to that point, because I have an opinion about absolutely everything. It seems as though, again, there are structures in place already. I mean, there are the CEDAW and every convention you can think of. These same governments have already sworn their names in blood to all sorts of codes of conduct and treaties and so forth. If some government, the G8 or another, could just press the other member states of the United Nations to act on the commitments that they've already made and to apply them specifically to sexual violence. For instance, every signatory to the Rome Statute, everybody who's endorsed the International Criminal Court, has in principle said, we agree with the theory of universal jurisdiction, which says basically that when crimes are committed that rise to the level of crimes against humanity, they offend us all. Therefore, any of us should be able to use our own courts to try them. And we're attempting this. AIDS Free World has gathered affidavits from women who were violated in Zimbabwe in 2008. And we've documented a massive crime against humanity in Zimbabwe during the elections that was implemented by ZANU-PF leadership to suppress the opposition and to ensure that Mugabe was reelected. We documented that crime. It's not possible to bring the perpetrators to justice in Zimbabwe. And so using the Rome Statute and the International Criminal Court, we looked for another government in Africa. We wanted this to be, sort of African universal jurisdiction. We looked for another government that had domesticated the ICC, the Rome Statute, and had readied its courts to prosecute crimes against humanity. And we could only find one, South Africa. Of all the countries in Africa that are signatories to the International Criminal Court, that was the only one that was prepared. We've now submitted a dossier to the government of South Africa asking it to make good on its commitment on paper to prosecute crimes against humanity when they happen and when there's evidence. And we've asked them to take up an investigation. But it wasn't possible to do that elsewhere. So again, if you sort of look inside the systems that are already supposed to be in place and look good on paper, I don't think we need more treaties and more conventions and more codes and more more protocols. We need to actually act on the ones that we have in place already.